Hello and welcome back to Full of a Took. We are here to discuss chapter 1 again, which is weird because I feel like we already did this. But my paper says chapter 1, but it's technically book 2 of book 1?
Part 1.
What?
So we are reading chapter 1 of book 2 of part 1, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
Kill me.
Yes. So in the very beginning of the book, he describes this as Fellowship of the Ring being the first part of the Lord of the Rings, book 1, chapter 1. Because that's easy to follow.
Yeah, so really what it is the 3 books that we know and love, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, are each divided in half.
Yes.
So there's 2 books in each of these physical books.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Book 1 has 12 chapters, which we've already done.
Yes.
And then this is the 13th chapter in that book,
Yes.
but it's called book 2, chapter 1 from now on.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So it's chapter 13.
It's chapter 13.
Technically.
Thanks, Jert.
Are you dressed like me?
Are you just like me?
So at the end of the last chapter, Flight to the Ford, Frodo wakes up after being stabbed by one of the Black Riders. They patch him up, they put him on the pony, and they get moving towards Rivendell. They travel really long and hard for about 12 days, while Frodo just gets worse and worse. There's a suspicious lack of trouble on the road during this time. They find an elf stone on the road and some stone trolls in the woods, which was a reference to The Hobbit. Finally, they meet the elf Glorfindel on the road, who has been looking for them and chasing off the Black Riders, making their trip easier. He puts Frodo on his horse, which completely saves the day. When the Black Riders finally show up, this horse races across the river, getting him closer to Rivendell. And when the Black Riders try to cross the river, a flood washes away all of the Black Riders. Frodo sees a shining figure of white light and some flames, and then he passes out, and the chapter is over.
So, yeah, Flight to the Ford was incredible. That was an incredible chapter. Also an incredible episode. I had a lot of fun talking about that chapter.
Yeah.
It was a wild ride.
Literally.
And truly like a crazy conclusion to book 1.
Yeah.
Bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, so much happened. And now that we begin book 2, chapter 1, Many Meetings is the name of the chapter. It truly does feel like we are starting a new book. The way it's written, the style, the like what's even going on. Like we sort of just fade out and fade away at the end of the last one, and then this one we're like, was it all a dream? Was it real? You know, it's a really interesting kickoff to the next chapter. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive in. I have so many things I want to talk about with this chapter.
Yeah. I think that your point about it being like the end of book 1 is really interesting, because can you imagine how frustrating this would be if that was published as a standalone?
Oh my
If they just, that's where the book ended and you're like, now I got to wait, 7 more years for J.R.R.
Oh, shots fired.
Great Freudian slip.
The man has
Because he
earned
does
it.
that, right? I've never
Yeah.
read his books, but
And
that's what he does.
Yeah,
You're
you'll
like,
never read the 7th one. But I think before we start this chapter, though, I really want to take a second. And what was everybody's favorite chapter of book 1, the first 12 chapters that we've read so far? Because I had 2 for myself, and it's the entire chapter about the Old Forest. Like it is just, it's so creepy, and these hobbits are so unprepared for everything that's about to happen to them. And I love that they go immediately from like, ooh, spooky stories to, no, your ass is in a haunted forest and it means you harm. And that was really cool. And I think it did a lot for the story and does a lot for world building. My other favorite moment is when Farmer Maggot tells a Black Rider to eat shit and get off his farm.
yeah.
Like I just, that is, I think, one of my favorite moments in the whole book.
Nice.
I also have 2 favorite chapters as well.
Okay.
And the 2 chapters I always combine into one mega chapter. Chapter 9, I believe, it is in 10. The Sign of the Prancing Pony and Strider. Just that whole time at the inn. everything that's going on and all the intrigue and all the character development and Strider coming through and finding out who Aragorn is. Those are just my favorite moments. And seeing the Black Riders go to Crick Hollow, it's just so epic.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was in the House of Tom Bombadil. What? Because it had me so engaged. I was thinking the whole time, like, well, why are they doing this? Is it bad? Is he going to hurt them? Is he fine? Are they going to be okay? Like, there was just so much swirling around my mind that whole chapter. Like, I was into it. I was completely wrong in all of my guesses. But
I seem to remember her sitting here going, I didn't fucking like that chapter. Was that the same chapter?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You'll know when you watch this because I'll hard cut to that moment.
I think she's in like Tom Bombadil,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really what it was.
but she liked his house.
yeah,
The threat of violence that his house brings.
yeah, just like the horror movies going in the back of my mind, like, oh, that's a red flag.
Gritty flashing in. Yeah. I think I have a hard time picking one. I think At the Sign of the Prancing Pony is the most exciting chapter for me because, like in books and movies, I love like the enemy is closing in vibes.
Yeah, so I think those are all really good moments to think about and to remember because they are, I think they're all pivotal, they're all key, but like so much happens, right? And now we're in Fellowship of the Ring, Book 2, Chapter 1, Many Meetings. And kind of a lot happens, but also not very much. Because like all good stories, this one starts in bed. And Frodo wakes up and he's staring at an unfamiliar ceiling and he's just like, where am I and what time is it? Alexa. And then Gandalf is like, it is October 24th, 10 a.m. You're in the House of Elrond. Gandalf is back. He's just watching Frodo sleep.
Creepy.
A little bit.
A little. To be fair, Gandalf's only there because he had to like shoo Sam away, who was also just watching Frodo sleep.
Creepier.
That's his job, at least.
That's his job.
I think so.
To watch Frodo sleep.
Yeah.
Just like what, check for breathing every now and again.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
Okay. But it's funny because so Gandalf is very informative. Frodo learns where and when and how he is. Gandalf says to Frodo, he's like, yeah, but you know what? You're lucky to be here at all, considering all the absurd bullshit you've been in. And Frodo's like, yeah, I guess. And he can't think of a very good argument, so he's just like, yeah, okay. And he thinks back, and out of everything that's happened, the only 3 absurd moments that Frodo can really lay claim to are the whole business in the Old Forest was a huge mistake. Also, when I put my ring on in the Prancing Pony, that was probably not good. And putting it on at Weathertop when the ring race were there, that was probably also not wise.
Yeah.
There are so many other mistakes he is just willing to let go.
He chose the main 3.
Yeah.
He chose 3 of them. I grant him that.
He's doing his best. He's doing his best.
And
Listen, you can't dwell on all of your mistakes. Right. You'll never go anywhere.
Well, and he doesn't, because instead of saying any of that, he pivots immediately to, where's Sam?
Yeah.
How is everybody? But where's Sam? And like that's a really cool moment because that is like Frodo's 3rd or 4th thought is where's Sam? That's when Gandalf's like, yeah, well, I'm only here because we had to kick him out so he could get some sleep because he's been here like day and night for like the last 4 days. You know, newsflash, that's how long you've been unconscious.
You've pooped the bed several times.
Oh my God.
and you cut it close. Like Gandalf is like, I think a couple of more hours and you'd be dead right now. You just wouldn't have made it. It was that close. But Elrond is apparently like some kind of master surgeon and like went in there with his like, you know, clamps and probes and whatever else elves do for medicine. I don't know, but their
Probably
internals
sang a song.
pour a little bit of spring water, stuff like it.
Tickled him.
Yeah.
Blew on him.
Yeah. Yeah, squeeze some lemon on it. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so elf magic or no, he makes it. You know, Frodo's like, oh, okay, yeah, it was close, I guess, but where were you? He's like, well, I'd tell you, but Elrond said not to upset you with stories. So I'm going to wait until the doctor says it's okay to tell you about stuff. And Frodo's like, no, fuck you, tell me. It's like he doesn't let it go. And it's like, no stories. I can't tell you where I was, but I will tell you I was captured. And Frodo's like, what, you were captured? Gandalf's like, yeah. Because it turns out this is the start of the War of the Ring. The 9 riders, the 9 ring wraiths, the servants of Sauron are abroad. Forces are moving in the east. The world is dark, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. Gandalf uses the phrase, the War of the Ring. And then Frodo pivots into, well, where's Strider? I kind of, is he here? Yeah, Strider's here. He's fine. Oh, good, because I was getting kind of attached to him, despite the fact that he's a big folk. And my understanding is they're all kind of dumb. Well, they're either dumb and kind or dumb and
Wicked.
Terrible.
and wicked. Yeah. So they're either all Butterburs or Bill Fernies. And I like Strider. So he's one of the good ones.
Doesn't he say like stupid Bill Fernie or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes.
If you think Butterbur is dumb, you don't know nothing about nothing.
I was offended that a made up character was making fun of human beings, like men.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, you're not real. That's right.
Well, it was just like this like casual piece of ignorance and racism that like Gandalf just shuts down immediately. It's like, oh, by the way, you don't know a goddamn thing because Strider is Aragorn, who's of the line of kings of Númenóreans and Westernness who ruled over the North Kingdom that the Shire is like existing in the ruins of. All those ruins we talked about, all the barrows, all that other stuff, all these like collapsed wastelands, how everything used to be better when people like Aragorn were king. Mm-hmm. And it's Aragorn's people who were those kings. And Frodo's response to all this is basically, cool story, bro. But we made it to Rivendell. It took a whole last month. I hope this adventure thing is done because I am gassed. And Gandalf's like, yeah, and fate probably intervened and pure fucking luck. And it's good for you it did because the 9 riders are out. The ring wraiths are out. Sauron has so many other werewolves, trolls, monsters, things I can't name and won't name because it will upset your tiny heart. And we're still not sure exactly where you're going to land on all this stuff. And Frodo's like, but what happened to those things? My friends are okay, and I'm apparently mostly okay. But what happened to those nightmare creatures that have been chasing me for a month? And Gandalf kind of looks at him and is like, how do you feel? Are you transparent at all? Well, maybe just a little in the arm. Yeah, the kid can take the story. So then he does a naughty and he tells Frodo what happened, which is that they put him on Glorfindel's horse and go, run. And that was the only thing that was going to save Frodo at that point. Nothing else mattered. The speed of that horse is the only thing that saved his life in that moment. They pursued him to the river, to the ford of Bruinen, and then they were all washed away in that flood, right? And there were like horses and stuff and all kinds of fun things. And Gandalf's like, yeah, I did the horses and all the rest of it, like the little details and flourishes. The 3 got hit by the wave and they get washed away and they're done. Glorfindel, Aragorn, and the other 3 hobbits come up with like torches that they made real fast. Like they started a real quick fire, made some torches and like spooked the other horses into the running water and then they all died. All the riders, just all the horses. Well, I should say the riders didn't die because they aren't alive to begin with, which is fun and also scary. But the horses are real and they're now dead. Don't feel bad for these horses. They're evil with a capital E. They enjoy doing bad things.
I mean, so do ponies.
Whoa. Not Fatty Lumpkin.
Maybe not Fatty Lumpkin.
He's the
Switchtail,
master
though.
pony.
Switchtail's shifty as fuck. So the only real things about these riders were the horses they rode and the cloaks they were draped in. Because they're just a spirit under there. They are nothing. There's nothing in there.
So now they're just wandering naked.
Yeah, naked and afraid. And everyone is super stoked about it. In fact, they're about to have a party. They're going to have a feast for the victory at the Ford of Bruinen by the ring bearer, Frodo, and the ring finder, Bilbo. And Frodo's like, wow, what? There's so many important people here, and they're going to have a feast for something I did? And I can't rate that kind of attention. And Gandalf's like, there's 3 really good reasons. 1, you're the ring bearer. 2, your uncle is the ring finder. And 3, I like you. I'm a great reason. And Frodo is like, yeah, that was really tiring. I'm going to go to sleep now. And he passes out. So he wakes up again and Sam comes into the room. And he is like so pleased to find Frodo awake and alive And then there's this kind of awkward moment where Sam is like, how's your transparent arm, the cold dead one? It's not cold and
Wait, what does Sam do?
it's okay. This is okay. You're alive. You're okay.
He strokes his hand
And
and then
blushes.
blushes.
He's like,
Yeah. It is a moment. It is a moment.
he's very like Chris Farley and Tommy Boy
Oh
in that moment.
God.
Like very in that moment, like Richard.
It's Frodo.
But so Sam is like, okay, you know what, you're a whole person again. You're doing okay. This is a great place if you want to read or sleep or laugh or eat or listen to music or do whatever. And Frodo's like, yes, all those things sound good. Although I think I've slept enough. I would like to go party. And Sam's like, good, I'm going to take you to the party then. Let's rock and roll. So they're on their way to the feast. And they find Merry and Pippin and Gandalf. And Pippin is like, all hail Frodo. He's alive and well. The Lord of the Ring. And Gandalf is like, shut the actual fuck up. No. That's not funny. He is not the Lord of the Ring. Sauron is the Lord of the Ring. And he's going to kill everyone you've ever known. And then Pippin's like, he's been saying shit like this all day. Gandalf's just not very fun. And everybody kind of rolls their eyes. And then they go to the feast.
Are Merry and Pippin like friends with Gandalf? The way that like Frodo is?
No.
Hell
Or
no.
even Sam? Had they ever met him? Because it says in the beginning of the book that like Gandalf kind of kept to himself. So they're not like,
They know
oh,
of
Gandalf,
him.
old buddy, the way that Frodo's like Gandalf, old buddy, right?
Yeah, like they know him as like the firecracker guy.
Like hobbits are a little sassy around Gandalf, I think, because mostly he's regarded as like this vagabond fireworks salesman.
Magician.
Yeah.
But with cheap tricks,
yeah.
magician, not a true great magician.
And Pippin seems to lack a basic awareness that lends itself to silly stuff.
Okay, so they're not like pals or anything.
No, they're
and
not.
he doesn't care about them.
Pippin is a child of a child of a child.
Right. Okay, got it. So it means something when he says that to them.
But Pippin's like fucking smooth brain. It just goes right over. He's
Completely
fine.
oblivious to the danger that they're in.
Yeah. Okay, so Pippin has his moment. They go to the feast. There's so many people in Elrond's house. Elf lords, the hobbits, some dwarves, some other people. Tons of people in this huge hall. Pippin and Merry are sitting off of the side table, and Sam wanted to sit next to Frodo so he could wait on him, and was told, no, you're a guest of honor. Go sit your happy ass out there and have a good time. And at the head of this table, on a dais, on a raised platform at the head of the party, are three people. Elrond, Glorfindel, and Gandalf. And Frodo's like, oh, fuck, I know important people. Because Elrond is kind of like a semi-mythical figure. He's like, he is old magic. He is ancient and powerful. And if you know dick about elves, you know Elrond is the man. Mm-hmm. And here's Glorfindel, the elf he just met, who kind of saved his life. And then here's Gandalf, the weird vagabond who sells fireworks, who's also a lord of power and dignity. Mm-hmm. And so Frodo has this moment of like, oh God, I know very important people. This is a big deal. What kind of one of those moments where you're like, when you realize how deep in the shit you are, or like when you've been promoted too far and you suddenly realize it. But it doesn't quite sink that deep, because he also notes that, oh my God, there's Arwen, Elrond's daughter, like Luthien reborn. She's the evening star.
I think it's Evan Star.
The Evan Star. She is gorgeous beyond dreams. She is Elrond's daughter. She's big magic, big important person, and she's sitting there also. Her brothers are not there, but that's because they're out doing basically questing. Just running. Their hobby is murder.
Oh.
They go out and they just hunt evil shit because apparently something happened to their mother at some
In the
point.
den of orcs.
Yeah, they glossed right over whatever that was. But whatever it was, it caused her two adult children to devote their lives to murder. So
To slaughter.
Oh my God.
Big yikes.
I
Yeah.
missed that.
Yeah.
It's a
Wow.
very
Yeah.
quick line, and it was actually something I wanted to talk about. So I'm glad you brought that up.
But yeah, so that's that's them. That's the happy family of like heroes and legend. And then there's
She's all
Sam.
lightness, and they're like true horror.
Yeah.
In twin form.
Right. Yeah. It's like you can be pretty or you can be violent. They doubled down on violence. So yeah, you have all these heroes and nightmares and made flesh and all this other fun stuff. And you've got Sam and the hobbits. And then Frodo looks over and he realizes he's sitting next to a dwarf. And he's like, oh, hello, sir. I'm Frodo. And this dwarf is like, I'm Glowin. If you've read The Hobbit, that name means something to you. Mm-hmm. If you haven't read The Hobbit, all you need to know is that Glowin is one of the dwarves that Bilbo went on an adventure with when he found the One Ring before the Fellowship of the Ring happened. For those of you who have read The Hobbit, Glowin is just like this huge lore dump. It's like 2.5 pages of just like Hobbit references, like Bjorn and the Bjornlings, the werebear changer people. They're great. Dale and the Lonely Mountain and the Dwarves of Eberroth are doing fantastic. Glowin is just so happy to have somebody to tell all his stories to. He just unloads. And Frodo's just nodding along.
What
and
must that
nodding.
be like?
Typical old guy.
Look, he told you that story so he could tell you this story, and you're going to love this story. So just like bear with me for the next 45 minutes.
And then Bilbo's like, hold my beer.
It's like Laura's making reference to basically every night of our lives.
There's a lot of stories.
Yeah. So, and it goes to like the end of the feast. It's just Glowin just talking to Frodo about stuff
At
that Frodo
Frodo.
maybe, talking at Frodo about really cool things. So the feast ends at this point, and they go to something called the Hall of Fire. They move on to like this windowless room with just a bonfire in the middle that's meant for like quiet contemplation, singing songs. It's the after party.
Yeah.
But as they walk in, Elrond walks over to this like little sleepy guy in the corner. Is like, hey, you awake? Wake up. Party's here. And Bilbo picks up his head. And now we see Bilbo again.
Yeah.
And Bilbo starts sassing Elrond like, I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking of the last couple lines of this song I'm going to write. But you know, now it's done. Now y'all ruined my space and now I can't finish my song.
I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping.
Hey, where's the Dunedain? Where's my friend? He's gonna help me finish this song. Y'all fucked all this up already. And it's like the Dunedain? I don't know who the Dunedain is. All right. But Elrond's like, yeah, we'll find him. Send out some guys. We'll go get him. And then Frodo finds Bilbo and is just overjoyed. And they have this lovely moment, and like Sam like creeps up like their shadow and just like is there. He's like, oh, it's the former master and the former master. Sam is here. And like but Bilbo starts, Frodo, Gandalf said you would have brought the ring, but I shouldn't bother with that because it's not mine anymore and my job's over. But can I see it just for like a second?
Just once, please.
And Frodo's like, yeah, I don't think I should. Could you though? Would you, for Bilbo? Would you show me? Just get it out.
He's like, pull it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Frodo says.
So Frodo was like, yo, pull it out.
So Frodo does. So Frodo pulls out the ring and he shows Bilbo, and Bilbo like lays eyes on
Says
it.
it's smaller than I remember.
And then he like,
God damn it, Chris.
it's this weird moment where like Frodo sees what the ring has done to Bilbo's soul and sees that imprinted on his face, and like his flesh gets haggard. He's like this little screaming skeleton thing, and he just like hisses at Frodo, and Frodo puts the ring away, and Bilbo's like, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe that's bad magic. I'm good. Gandalf was right. This is, whew. So how about them songs?
How about the Meagles?
Yeah. Well, how about that Dunedain? Because now the Dunedain shows up. Turns out the Dunedain is Strider, is Aragorn. The man's got more names than the author. And
I was going to say, as more names than tenses he talks about himself in.
yes, yeah. So then the whole chapter turns into this like thing where it's just like songs and it's like magic and there's elves and stuff everywhere, and like the power of song is just really just making people sleepy, and like they're super engaged, and you get the impression the elves are going to sing till like dawn, and maybe that's not Frodo's thing because he kind of nods off. Sam nods off, but not before Bilbo is told like, okay, you finished your song, let's hear it, come on. And so he recites this like It's like what 2.5 or 3 pages of the chapter is this like it's okay.
Steeped in lore.
So yeah, it is just noun after noun after noun. Like it is a glossary of shit that is amazing world building,
but
later
somewhat unintelligible.
It's about a mighty elf lord and his wife and the Silmarils and all this stuff. And it turns out, and I don't know if they actually reveal this or if we know what Elrond's father's name is, but this is a song about Elrond's father.
Yeah.
Do we know this?
No.
I didn't know that.
Nope. It was super not in the chapter.
Yeah, well, they mentioned the name, I think it's Arundel is the name of Elrond's father.
In another chapter when Elrond is first brought up,
Yes.
it's Elrond, son of Arundel.
There it is.
It's
There
like
it is.
4
See?
chapters ahead.
Wow.
Or
See?
in the past in book 1.
Not
top.
something I picked
The
up
very,
on.
very first time. I
Just
think
one
it's
of those like
Aragorn as
single-time
Strider.
name drops.
I think
that
it's
you're like,
Aragorn as Strider says in the house of Elrond, son of
Yep.
Arundel.
Oh
and
my
that's
Yep.
it.
God.
And now we're jumping back just to
Yep.
retain
Okay.
that, and then here we are in the song.
Yeah,
Yes.
so now we're
We're
here.
expected to remember every single name that is ever dropped.
There
I
is
gotta be
gonna-
honest with you.
chapters.
I didn't even read his song.
Did they not?
I skipped it.
Did they not know there's a quiz?
Oh.
We got about 3 phrases into the song.
And you checked out.
And she looks at me from across the table and goes, "Are you paying attention?" And I was on Facebook on my, and I closed it and I went, "Yep,
Yep.
because I immediately was like, "This is freaking boring."
Well, so it is boring if you don't know what the fuck's going on. But what it is it's the story of how Elrond's father met his mother. And it's truly a wild piece of mythology. Like his mother's like a swan at some point or something. And
Yeah.
like that's not allegorical. She was literally a bird at some point.
Flying Elwing came to him.
Yes. But also it ends with, remember, Bilbo wrote this song about Elrond's dad and is now singing this song to Elrond, whose wife apparently had a bad time, whose boys are murderers, and whose dad apparently, according to Bilbo's interpretation of facts, his father was banished and cursed to ride like a silver boat across the sky, and he's basically now just the moon until the end of time, so good
Yeah.
luck. It's this crazy fucking story, but at the end of it, what you get is Bilbo going, yeah, Aragorn thought I shouldn't have done this, and it was kind of fucking cheeky, but yeah, whatever. What does he know? Although, yeah, he's probably right. Hey, you want to get out of here? And so at the end of Bilbo's recitation, some elves are like, okay, we heard it once, but now we're going to judge it. Tell it again. And
Yeah,
Bilbo's
good old
like,
Lindir.
yes. And Bilbo's like, no.
Again.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room is like, stop it. Don't.
Shut up. Great job, man. Super cool. And he's like, no. I want to know which parts you wrote and which parts the Dunedain wrote because it was a combination. And Bilbo's like, yeah, well, you know what? If you knew anything about hobbits or Dunedain, you would know which part was which. And the elf's like, man, I don't know about mortals. You are all the same to me.
Once again.
Casual racism. And Bilbo's like, yeah, well, where's different is peas and apples. And the elf's like, I don't know, man. You know what? To sheep, other sheep look the same,
Oh
but what
my
do I know?
God. So brutal.
I think it's like, okay, more casual racism. Like we're learning all about this stuff. This is great world building. And on that note, Bilbo's like, yeah, you know what? We're out. And they go to leave. And they're going to, because they're done. They're done. And on their, like walking out the door, they hear a song and like Frodo is like struck and he turns and there's Arwen singing. And she's like the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. And now he's in love again. This makes Goldberry look like nothing.
I'm thinking of Goldberry.
New crush.
This is like the
Yeah.
new crush. Who this?
Take my breath away. His hair is blowing.
And there's Arwen singing, like looking into Frodo's soul, and Aragorn is standing next to her, and he's got like a shining like coat of armor on, and he's got this like little like star on his chest, and it's just like, oh, is that what that's? Fuck. Okay, yeah, we're out.
Aragorn did say his heart
Yep.
Yeah,
was in Rivendell.
maybe that's it. Just to tug at Frodo's heartstrings a little bit.
When I was reading that section, I just pictured like slow zooming in on Frodo's face as he's watching her, and then it was cutting the slow zooming in on her face, back and forth, closer and closer, and then it gets really close to hers, and then the camera pans to the right, and Aragorn's just staring at him, and then he shakes his head, no, and Frodo's like, fuck. I just love these little vignettes that pop in my head. The writing's so good. It's so cinematic.
It's
It's
really
so visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really funny because like at that moment after he clocks that Aragorn's there, Bilbo's just like, yeah, dude, they're gonna do this shit all night. We gotta just let's go talk Hobbit business. So they do, and they walk off. They find a quiet place. They catch up on all the news about the Shire, everything that Bilbo has not heard about in years. And then knock knock. Sam comes in. He lets himself. He's like, hey guys, is there anything I can get you? It's getting really late. And Frodo's only been allowed out of bed for like 6 hours now. Maybe we should all go to bed because there's a big council in the morning. Capital C, big meeting early in the morning. And the hobbits go, yeah, let's go to bed. And that's how the chapter ends.
You said this before, and it's starting to ring true more and more with, it feels like a nighttime story that you would tell your kids because it's like, oh, sorry, guys. Everybody went to bed. Guess you should go to bed too.
Even the last chapter, he passes out.
Yeah.
Goes to sleep.
Everyone's always going to sleep, whether voluntary or not.
What I love about it is that it keeps things very personal because it's like everybody thinks about going to bed at some point, and it's just like, fuck, I have to go to sleep. I want to go to sleep, whatever it is. You go to bed, and that's the end. And what I love about it too is like on those couple of chapters we've had where that has not been the case, it feels like such a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to, there doesn't have to be any construction other than that at the end of the chapter, everyone is still conscious.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps that like the end of the chapter is night. At the end of the day.
Well, like Sam's relationship to Frodo in particular is interesting, right? Because his image of himself and his conceptualization of like, why is he allowed to be on this adventure? Like, what is his purpose? He was the servant at home. And then he was specifically told by Gandalf, like, don't fuck this up or I'll turn you into a toad or something. As soon as he sees like there's an opportunity for him to help in any way, he's there. And what's cool is that Frodo is seeing that. Because there's all these moments of like insight where Frodo's like, oh, fuck, Sam sings songs. Sam's a badass. Sam does these things. That's because Frodo's actually learning these things about Sam for the first time.
Yeah.
Because for the entire rest of their relationship, Sam's been the gaffer's son who does the gardening. And now it's like, it's changed, right? Because now Frodo wakes up and he's like, Alexa, where am I? Okay, Alexa, where's Sam?
Yeah.
And it's
First
like,
thing he thought of.
yeah.
Find anything named Sam. The tile tracker and enabling the tile skill on your Alexa app.
She couldn't find him.
Alexa, shut the fuck up!
One of the first things I thought about when I was reading this chapter was when Gandalf was like, slow down. I can't tell you what happened. You need to relax and stay carefree. And Frodo was like, I need to know what happened to my friends. I can't relax until then. I very much empathized with him at that point.
I mean, if you were to wake up from anything, right, and find out that you were in a new place, not in the place where you last went to bed, and all your friends are gone, you'd be like, what the hell's going on?
A strange
Yeah.
ceiling.
You need to know.
Like
yeah,
you
that
wake up in a
ceiling is
hospital.
Scary.
Well, speaking of Frodo's recovery and like that whole period, I noticed something that I never noticed before. I'm just ignoring you. So Gandalf says to Frodo, you have overcome the splinter of the Morgul blade in his body. It's making its way towards his heart, the center of him. And he says, which you bore for 17 days.
Like a BA.
Yeah.
Badass.
Now going into this, I know the
Badass.
big numbers of the...
Like a barrow ass.
So I know going into this from reading this before, the big numbers in this are 1, 3, 7, and 9. But I never noticed before how much 17 keeps coming up. Between chapter 1 and chapter 2, it's 17 years. Now he's bearing this great injury for 17 days. And I'm just really curious to see if that comes up again or if that's just it. These are the 2 times 17 are appropriate.
It's just a
or,
coincidence.
are these the 2 times at 17?
Next has to be 17 hours, right?
And then
Years.
minutes and then seconds.
Yeah.
The 1 ring, the 3 rings for elves, the 7 for the dwarves, the 9 for the men.
3 parts of the trilogy, the 6 books.
Yeah.
The 12 apostles.
The 12 dwarves.
You mean?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, which we're about to meet Glowin.
I thought
Yeah,
it
the
was,
12.
when I was reading the part about the dwarves, it kept popping in my head going, what were their names again? Who had them? Ori?
Ori,
Owen,
Owen.
and Balin.
Balin
Balin.
is one, but there's a lot
Balnor.
more than that.
the fatty.
Biffer, Boffer, Bomber.
Dwaylen,
Bomber,
Glowin,
Biffer.
Dory, Nori.
And I
Biffer, Bofer, Bomber, Balin, Ori, Owen.
was going through my head in that moment, and I was thinking, that's more than 7.
Too many dwarves.
Yeah.
Oh my,
Well-
it's more than 7 dwarves.
And then I was like, wrong story, Chris.
But they did get the 7 rings.
Yep.
That's it's a lot. It's
But
very
it was
confusing.
the kings. The kings got the rings.
Because that's
'Cause it rhymed.
it's in the beginning. They're like, and we gave 7 rings to 7 dwarves, and I was like,
Perfect.
What would Sleepy do?
yeah, this is like he put it on for the inevitable long rest. Nothing will wake me.
He just goes to sleep.
Yeah. So,
got
well,
happy.
also I wanted to bring up something that you just said that I actually took in my notes, which is Morgul. Morgul.
Yes.
It's pronounced as the Morgul Lord. Is that something we can talk about? Is that coming up later?
I was also wondering
Has it
about
already
that.
come up and I
Well,
forgot
we've heard
about
of
it?
a Morgul blade before.
But we didn't know what that was then either.
Morgul.
It was a new
Is-
word.
For us, for our purposes at the moment, Morgul is just an adjective or an identifier for like ringwraith shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of leads into something that I was trying to wrap my head around while I was reading this. They're talking about how Frodo was halfway into the world of the ringwraiths. And then later on how the elves, because they'd been in the, what was it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The blessed realm, that they existed in both planes at the same time. And like I kind of had a hard time wrapping my head around what are these two like planes of existence? Is it like the spirit realm or the evil realm and the good realm? What is this?
The Blessed Realm is where elves came from before Middle Earth, and it's where they're going to go back to. The Undying Lands. It's basically like heaven if you just got on a boat and went there.
Okay.
The spirit realm and like the material place, like the spirit world that like the ring draws you into when you put it on, the place that like they allude to, like the ring wraiths are of this spirit realm. It's just ghost shit. It's
And it's
this,
not the blessed realm.
yeah, it's a bad place. That's the bad place, but it's like
Bad place.
well, but I don't want to. It is a bad place, but it's like it's not like a hell. It's not like a destination. But if you are a ghost, if you are a wraith, if you are some kind of restless ghost in Middle Earth, you experience the world of shadows. You don't exist quite in sync with everyone and everything else.
Okay.
Because that's like why the wraiths, they wear those robes, right?
Yeah.
They wear those robes to give their fucking spirits shape that like so they can interact with mortals and things. Otherwise,
Right.
they're just kind of a scary shadow. If you saw a big fucker in a dark cloak ask you a question, that's a thing you can talk to, right?
Yeah.
Like if even if it's a weird voice.
Yeah.
If you are in a dark room alone and something goes, "Where's Frodo?" You're not going to answer. You're not going to have a
Yeah.
conversation about it. You're going to turn the lights on,
Absolutely.
and then go take a Xanax.
Because there is a bit of performance, right? I mean, they are dressing up like this to interact with, I think the term is earthly beings or whatever it is.
Mortal.
Well, not the horse.
Mortal.
The horse is of this plane, and they have to give commands. Even if they are a wraith, they have to still lead the horse where they want to go.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny to think about them being like, okay, slow down, slow down, heel. Whatever you say to a horse.
That's not what he said.
Definitely.
What do you say to a horse to make it stop?
Whoa.
cool.
Does the horse know that? You have to train it.
Yes, you have to train it.
I also thought it was really funny that you have the ring bearer and the ring finder. Like these,
I just keep thinking of a wedding procession every time they see
Yeah,
ring bearer.
it just
Or
was
not
like
only
fun.
that,
Like
like
a little
Laura,
8-year-old.
early on, one of the first episodes we did, you said you loved how Bilbo went on a journey to find a ring, but Frodo's going on a journey to lose a ring.
Yeah.
And here we are once
shit.
again. I actually thought of you immediately when that line came up. I was like, there's that point coming up again. Like
Yeah.
one was the finder and one is now going to, was bearing it currently, but got rid of it.
Yeah,
You
they're
know?
like the polar opposites.
yes, great, like two protagonists, but they're polar opposites.
Either end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed as I was reading through this chapter, and I've been thinking about it a little more and I've come to a conclusion. I thought as I read this chapter, the writing style was becoming more complex, convoluted, a little bit more difficult to parse. as you're reading through the sentences, the structure had changed.
It's less storybook.
He hooked you in with
Yeah.
you fell in love with these characters in this adventure, and now he's like,
It was simpler
and here's
in
who
the
I really
first
am.
book.
Yes, yes.
Here is my lore and my language and my songs.
So let me read this
Yeah.
sentence to you that
Yeah,
I had to read
that's
like
100%
4
it.
times to figure out what it meant.
Oh God.
He's not half through yet, and to what he will come in the end, not even Elrond can foretell.
Yes.
I had to read that sentence like 3 times to be like, what? These words are in the wrong order.
But the next line I think is most confusing.
That's just grammar.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. The grammar, the writing style is a little
it's
more
very different than
complex.
Welcome to Bilbo's birthday
Exactly.
bash.
And so what I've concluded is
Yeah.
that most of the text in this chapter is Gandalf speaking. And so
Yeah.
it's Gandalf's style of speech versus the Hobbit style of speech, which was what we were reading in the first half of this book.
Plus
Interesting.
elves.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I think the elves speak a little bit more.
But I have to say the next line that you didn't
Complicated.
say, like I think was for me, I had to read it twice and I was like, oh, I understand. He says, not to evil, I think. He may become like a glass filled with a clear light for eyes to see that can.
Yeah,
That
I was
last
just
part
like,
with the
what?
eyes that see that can, I had to read that a couple times and
Exactly.
then be like, oh. And I still don't really get it, but I'm like, okay, I think I get it.
Gandalf is a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Yeah.
We're just like,
Gandalf has
okay.
has some very antiquated grammar.
That's what I was thinking. It was more like an old English style of speaking, almost like Shakespearean, where
Yes.
it's just a little more difficult to interpret.
And also, like a thing to consider is like, why is that?
Yeah.
Because book 1 is about the Hobbit's piece of the pie, right? They essentially, the first 12 chapters of this book have been with very little help other than the Hobbits. Like, people have done things for them.
In the Hobbit's world, and characters come and go
Yeah.
Right.
from our Hobbit world.
Yes.
And our
like,
Hobbit world is a simple one, and they speak simply.
and it's very relatable. It's something that you are meant to understand as a person, as a reader. And now we're in the big leagues. Now we're in Elrond's house. We're in Rivendell. We are in the presence of the mighty and the wild. And like shit's about to get really, really real. The language gets interesting in that way. The
More
language,
intricate.
yeah, it feels a
Yes.
little more distant. It feels a little more alien. It feels a little less penetrable, right? You have to focus on it. Don't smile at that.
Oh my God.
But these are also beings that have been alive for so much longer. Like, thinking Old English, like, yeah, they were alive back in, quote unquote, Shakespeare's time.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
I think it says a lot about the elves that they're willing to learn all the new slang.
Yeah. One last thing about the language before we move on. I loved on page 220. He says, as shadows had fallen in the east, but there was still a light on the faces of the mountain far above. The air was warm, and the sound of running and falling water was loud, and the evening was filled with a faint scent of trees and flowers. And it just was this beautiful moment to be like, there is this dark shadow building in the east, but there is still hope. There are still flowers. There's still
There's still
running
beauty.
water. There's
Yeah.
still nature. That this evil has not corrupted everything yet. It's trying to, but we can still hopefully do this. And it was like a great foreshadowing to the next chapter and just where we are in the story. And I just love that in one succinct sentence, it just kind of pulls you back into where we are and what's going on and what might happen.
I would argue it's not very succinct.
It's
It's
at least
not very what?
simple.
Succinct.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the next song is 3.5 pages. So
The song
You
is
have
too
to
long.
adjust your perspective.
The
Yeah.
song is too damn long.
Bilbo's had too long to work on it. He's had
Well,
17 years.
So
No, I'm just kidding.
to be real though, like he is succinct in certain places. Like he fits Elrond's entire description in like 2.5 sentences.
Yeah.
He is ageless and dark
mighty
haired,
warrior.
and he has the dignity of a king of many winters, but the appearance of a warrior in the fullness of his strength. Stop. That's Elrond. Okay. He spends longer than
The
that.
narration was good. It
Yeah.
was succinct and vivid, but Gandalf's speech.
Succinct.
Succinct.
Is that not what I said?
Succinct.
I think you said succinct.
Well, sorry.
Succinct is not a word, and that's what
And then
you
I
said the
thought-
first time.
That's
why I
then
said-
I was like, am I saying the wrong word?
I think we're just hearing things at this point.
It's fine.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so the narration is still pretty on point. I think it's just the way Gandalf speaks that kind of threw me because he speaks so much in this.
Okay.
True.
Yeah. I also want to talk about something that I related to very much. I was curious if you guys related to in the real world when Frodo sort of awoke as the feast is about to begin. I don't know if you guys have ever, maybe it's a holiday, maybe it's a Sunday night dinner or something, but you're taking a nap in not quite full sleep, but you're in half sleep mode, and you hear the bustle in the kitchen, and your nose twitches, and you smell things are starting to smell very good, and then you happen to wake up at dinner time,
Yeah.
and that feeling when you come down the steps, maybe from like a bedroom or something, or the other room if you're in like a dark dining room or living room or something, to enter to, oh, good, you're up, dinner's ready. That
Yep.
feeling is so good. And I can't even imagine what it must have felt like to be Frodo waking up with that feeling at Rivendell and seeing, I don't know what, maybe a giant hall or something, but all the food, all the big feast, right?
Like, holy shit, we made it.
Tons
and
of
it's
people
dinner time.
and like, yeah, like, oh my God.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to like, some turkey or like a meatloaf. This is probably the greatest spread he's ever seen in his life. Next to Bilbo's big party, maybe, but
Good thing they didn't mention a single thing that was eaten.
that was a bit of a bummer, actually. I was kind of annoyed at that.
I mean, well, elves eat,
Nothing.
starlight and jokes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
No, for me though, that like magic moment of like when you just are you're flirting with consciousness, is when on occasion, I am blessed to have somebody make coffee for me in the morning before I get out of bed,
That's what I was thinking.
and I hear the percolator go a little bit, and
Who's
then
that?
the cat. It took a lot of training, but he does it now, and like there's minimal cat food in the coffee.
Could you imagine if you just like preloaded your Keurig and had it like auto turn on, and you just trained him to go up and like touch the button?
Oh my god.
Regular coffee makers do that.
You could put timers on them, but
I
like
think we have one. We just never set it up.
We've never done it. My parents have been doing that for 30 years.
I'd rather use the cat.
I try to do it when I'm exhausted at night and I'm like, fuck, I have to be up in 5 hours. And then I'm mad about setting up my coffee because I know when I wake up, I am going to be like so fucking tired and so out of it.
So you prep it the night before.
Water and the grounds and, coffee.
You
Sometimes.
do all of that the night before.
It's not that much.
Sometimes.
Patrick, what are you talking about? You put everything in the coffee pot the night before, and you still make yourself the next morning turn it on?
Well, our new one doesn't have a program.
And also,
Get another one then.
No.
really good
You're
one.
doing the hard part.
We have a really good
and
one.
you're still making your. I mean, this is insanity.
let me no. The problem is this is that when we had one that did time, which was the last one, and the reason we don't bother with one now is because I would set a timer in the morning that was more aspirational than real. So I would be like, I'm gonna get up at 5:30 because I gotta, I'm gonna get into work. No, my ass would be getting out of bed at like 7:30, and the
coffee was
coffee's
cold.
2 hours old.
So set it for 7:15.
Well, what if I wake up at 6:30 because I have a meeting and I actually have to wake up?
Then you hit your button and life goes on as it's been going on every day since.
Right, but if I just accept my fate and press the button every morning,
Oh, this is
I get coffee at the
maddening.
right time.
This is maddening.
I know. I just like it. I
Our
like
new
it.
coffee maker is way better.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah. This has been a real long tangent.
our coffee drinking listeners will surely relate to this. Do you think Elrond puts cream in his coffee?
No.
No. I feel like elves
He
are
drinks it
dairy
black?
free.
I think he's a tea guy.
Yeah,
Tea?
tea.
Who drinks
think so,
coffee?
too.
Somebody drinks coffee.
I drink both.
Aragorn drinks
I
coffee.
bet Aragorn drinks
Aragorn
black
drinks. Aragorn drinks black coffee.
Yeah.
And he
the
drink,
hobbits
like-
definitely drink tea.
tea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe dwarves would also have some coffee.
and I feel like Gandalf
Dwarves are
pretends.
just on cocaine.
I feel like Gandalf
Meth.
pretends to drink coffee, but it's just whiskey.
Yeah. He's drinking whiskey in the morning. I like that.
I wanted to make a comment about something that happened during the feast, since that's where we are now in
Yeah.
our chapter. Glowin is having the time of his life telling stories to Frodo, who's sitting next to him, and he says Frodo's the most polite listener, and he's just sitting there like, yeah, okay. And eventually, I don't think Glowin notices, but Frodo kind of zones out because he's so lost among all the names. The
Was
entire
that you?
chapter,
Did you
apparently-
relate?
Yes, was like names that we've never heard of before, and this 4-page song full of names and places that make no sense to us. I was like, okay, Jert, is this is this a little like hat tip to your poor readers who have no idea what the fuck you're talking about half the time?
Look, by your third or fourth read through, it's going to be great.
Great.
Yeah.
So we try not to bring up spoilers, right?
Right.
But like, was this chapter not great for finally tying a couple of fucking things together?
Oh, I'm so glad I finally don't have to worry about saying ring rates by accident.
Right?
Like, thank fucking God.
You said
Oh
it
my
so many
God.
times that we had to cut.
So many times. And like, there's even been some clips where I go, Black Riders. Like, you couldn't even hide it. And that, and then also about Rangers. Like, I kept being like, yeah, Numenor. Like, stop saying it. So I'm so thankful. And like, even with the song and the end of the chapter, there's so much I want to say, but I'm like, I don't know.
All in good time. All in good time.
It's it's the North Kingdom and the Rangers and they're doing it. Damn it.
Damn it.
Doona damn it. Dooma Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
What was that?
But that being said, like, being
No,
first,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can we talk about one final thing with Gandalf that we have completely skipped this entire episode? It's been driving me fucking crazy.
What?
He talks about him being able to read Frodo's mind.
and memories.
Yeah.
What the hell's that about?
He's a wizard.
Well, is he?
I don't know. I thought he was.
Well, yeah, he's
the
a
hell?
wizard.
You're a wizard, Gandalf.
Well, isn't part of that isn't that alluded to also that like Frodo's been just like talking in his sleep a whole lot the whole time he's been in Rivendell?
He did say that.
He did say that, but then he also said...
It's very hard to read your mind and memories.
He said, I wish you could have held out at Weathertop. And then he said, it's not hard to read your mind. Is he actually reading Frodo's mind? Or is he, I mean, obviously they say that he listens to the talk in his sleep,
Yeah.
but it's not like Frodo's telling a tale in his sleep like, on Thursday I went to the top.
Well,
of
exactly.
Weathertop."
So then there's interpretation. So it might be hard to read that. On the other hand, Gandalf might just be an obtuse asshole.
His language would
I
suggest.
don't think that he can actually read Frodo's mind. And if he can, convenient.
Well, like,
Real convenient.
I was going to comment on that too, because like, how much is Frodo saying in his sleep that Gandalf can tell what his story was? That's
keeps
really
touching me.
dangerous with his secret. So the next line said, "Oh, like your mind is hard to read." I was like, okay, so he's not just listening to what he says in his
Yeah.
sleep; he's also somehow connecting to
I
his
don't
little
know.
brain.
That way.
Might be metaphor.
I feel like it didn't affect you guys the way it affected me. That's okay. But that made me annoyed when I read that.
That's right.
So, do we have a treat this week?
Of course we do. We have a treat every week.
Thank God. I just want to make sure. All right, let's do it.
All right. So, food for thought this week. This chapter had 0 food mentioned, despite being a wonderful feast. So, I kind of had to
I was
really.
thinking about you actually with that. I was like, there's no fucking food mentioned.
There was
Yeah,
one food
it felt
mentioned
bad.
very briefly when
was it?
Frodo was not feeling well. He was drinking like a liquid with bread. It was just like old,
well,
crusty bread.
I didn't bring you old crusty bread.
Thank you. Yeah.
So this I just sort of like pulled from, what I had laying around the house. So this is a blooming tea in a
Ooh.
lovely, glass see-through teapot so that you can see it. So it's this, it's herbal. There's no caffeine in it. It's just like flowers. And I don't know, it just felt very elven to me.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Especially if you're healing.
Yes.
So it's
yes.
a blooming tea. So like it, because I watched you put a little ball in there, and now there's a flower in the teapot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually little bits of flower. The bottom one is like a yellow flower. There's a little red clover flower in the middle, and then some, I don't know, white thing coming out of it.
So how would
Presumably
we
also a
compare
flower.
this to like a blooming onion?
You wouldn't?
Chris, welcome to my whole life.
Can we make this a blooming onion?
No.
No.
All right, fine. Then I guess I'll take the tea.
It's just tea.
What
All
kind
right.
of flowers inside? Dandelion?
It was probably on the label, and
It's yellow.
Don't remember. It's definitely not dandelion. Chamomile, maybe? Should have found
I think
out.
it's chamomile and a red clover.
It's like yellow, like
Wait
the
a minute.
tablecloth.
Are you saying chamomile is the name of a flower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Oh, do you know what's really
The
embarrassing?
tea I do all the time, chamomile and lavender, they're 2 flowers, and it's an herbal tea at night.
Lavender's a flower too?
Correct.
Yes.
I didn't know that mums, MUMS, was short for chrysanthemums.
Yeah.
I didn't know either.
I know.
Look at the things you learn.
I don't care about flowers. And I'll say that again. I don't care about flowers.
Well,
They're not a part of my world. They never will be. I'm not interested in them. I don't care about them.
Well, you're
That
about to
being
drink
said,
'em.
I think they're beautiful. And I appreciate them very much, but I don't care about them. So it doesn't surprise me that I also shared the lack of knowledge that a mum is short for chrysanthemum. I didn't know.
That's not what it is.
What is it?
Chrysanthemum.
That's what I just said.
yeah, definitely.
Mostly.
Chrysanthemum.
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 Okay.
Are you saying it with a lisp or are you fucking with me?
Are you being a black writer?
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Chris.
Chris.
Going back to earlier when you said the black writers had lisps.
Chrysanthemum.
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 Stop.
That being said, I would love to enjoy this tea.
You're just mad that I know how to say chrysanthemum now.
Yes, I'm very mad. Yeah.
Jeez. All right, let's get to tea.
Big mad.
Let's spill the tea.
time.
All right,
Fine,
this tea
spill
is
the
like-
tea.
It's like neon yellow and a little alarming.
It looks like Gatorade.
It's radioactive pee-pee.
I'm just gonna encourage you to smell it because that's the only part that's gonna be wonderful.
Finger's too fat for this.
Wow, it does
Oh,
smell
it does smell like pee.
amazing.
You smell like pee. Shut up.
Oh, this smells like a flower.
Honestly, this is amazing.
Is all tea just flowers?
No, like caffeinated tea is leaves.
Leaves.
Yes, tea leaves from tea
What's
trees.
a flower if not a collection of leaves?
It's definitely not.
I didn't want to go there. Oh, that's freaking delicious. Cheers. That's great.
Cheers.
So I just want to call out one thing real fast. We started off this episode with you wearing a beige hoodie, which is funny because I also was wearing a beige hoodie.
Uh-huh.
Coincidentally, we both had blue jeans on. I never wear blue jeans, so I just happen to look like you. But for a second, we were dressed identical.
Uh-huh. Well, that's because I was wearing your clothes. So, yeah, I mean, I just about have a solid memory of this. When we shot the end of the last episode, the temperatures outside had like dropped like 30 degrees, and I was fucking cold. And you were just like, "Yeah, fuck, here you go." And
And I gave you the hoodie off my back.
yes,
I took it off and I put it on you.
yes. And then I was like, "Oh, that was cool." And then
That's so romantic.
it was a nice
Yeah.
ride home. And then I went to sleep.
It fucking was romantic.
I washed it. I brought it back. I was like, I'm going to make sure I give this back to Chris. That was a very nice gesture. And I walked through the fucking door, and there you are wearing, I guess, your other beige
Another
hoodie.
one.
I've never seen anyone wear a beige hoodie, but you own two.
Okay, so fun fact for you, Pat. Do you shop at Target?
Yes.
I shop at Target. Goodfellow is the company that Target owns. I have a zip up and a pullover version of every color hoodie that they sell.
Ooh.
He does.
Well, you like them, I guess, so we'll have to go get some.
Yeah.
They're decent.
Yeah.
They're also $18.
Yeah.
Yo.
By the way,
Cannot argue with
by the way,
that.
Target cheap sponsorship.
Yeah. So when you took my beige hoodie, I got back to
didn't
the
take
house.
shit.
By taking,
offered
I mean,
it.
I offered it up, and
You dressed me in your
accepted
clothes
it.
and sent me into the night.
The next
Kind
morning,
of like Fatty and Frodo.
yeah, it's like Fatty dressing as Frodo.
What, were you like hoping the cops would pull me over?
Usually, Frodo was dressed as Fatty in this real life.
Yeah.
Jesus
I don't want to be Frodo.
I don't want to be Fatty, but we already established I'm Fatty earlier.
you're not.
I think the proof is in the pudding. It's already somewhere on the internet. But anyway, I woke up the next morning and
We
I was
just
like,
established you're not Pippin.
and I was like, where did my beige hoodie go? And I went, well, here's my pullover one. I'll wear that one. So it was as romantic as it was gone from my memory very quickly.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
It's fucking hilarious.
What a beautiful, beautiful end with this tea to chapter 1 of book 2 of part 1 of Lord of the Rings, otherwise known as the Fellowship of the Ring. Many Meetings was the name of the chapter. What is the name of chapter 2 of book 2?
The Council of Elrond.
The Council of Elrond. Sounds important to me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. If you haven't yet, please do that. Stay tuned next week for our Christmas special.
A Merry Pippin Christmas. I'm just kidding.
Merry Pippin Christmas. I love that.
We're just going to role play.
And have a wonderful week. I'm Chris.
I'm Laura.
I'm Robbie Jean.
I'm Pat.
And I'm still Chris.
Yes, you are.
We brought that back.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.